We are discussing organizational development, OD. In brief, you can say OD, organizational development. In that, we are mainly discussing the change management concept. Why organization need to have change, what are the steps involved in change, and why people don't accept the change. These were our discussion topic in the last class. We'll continue from there. Characteristics of OD, organizational development, change in the structure, behavioral science change, improvement of organizational effectiveness, promotion of high productivity, the facilitation of change, sustainability. These are the characteristics of organizational development. When the organization is going through change, you will see all these things. Why you need change? Because all these things required. Here we discuss need for change. Why an organization requires the change? These are the needs. Because you need to sustain. In practical life, in real life, तमे देखो तमे यदि competition में रहिबो, you have to accept the change. You have to follow the change. If you don't change yourself, you don't sustain, then if you don't accept any change in your life, in your growth, in your career, then you will not sustain. So, likewise, organization may be तुम गोटे एग्जांपल दोथिले जो मोबाइल कंपनी के प्रॉपर्टी कंपनी कहीं सब कंपनी बंद हो गला बिकॉज़ दे डोंट वांट टू grow, they don't want to accept the change, new technology. If they are ready to accept, if they are, then you can sustain. Changes are needed because they bring up hope. Changes are natural. Changes in an organization are required to empower the workforce. Changes in strategy. Changes in an organization are required because the change in internal and external environment. Changes are needed when organization decide to merge or acquire. Changes in the organization take place due to the advent of new technology. Changes within the organization to help employee to learn new things. ये सब आम डिस्कस करते कहीं गोटे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन चेंज दरकार नीड फॉर चेंज इन एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन दीज आर द रिक्वायरमेंट कोठी टेक्नोलॉजी चेंज करा दरकार कोठी एम्प्लॉय मान को मोर प्रोडक्टिविटी मोर ट्रेनिंग न्यू टूल्स न्यू टेक्नोलॉजी सब अप्लाई करा दरकार बेले बेले एनवायरनमेंट चेंज हेले भी तुम ऑर्गेनाइजेशन चेंज होगा दरकार बेले बेले कंपनी मर्जर होची एक्विजिशन होची सेथिबे चेंज होगा दरकार so means for everything any action any growth you can think there is a change and these are not easy changes are not easy so you have to adapt all this action once you understand and you plan so it will go through the plan the entire cycle the resource planning the other corporate planning for any change it will go through the entire cycle what you will learn then we'll understand resistance of change. This also we discussed. There are different types of resistance. Why people don't accept change? The first reason is तमें कौन सी जिनस चेंज करिया को बदले को चाहो ना कौन में because you want to stay इन the same line तमें ପରିବର୍ତ୍ତନଟାକୁ ଆକ୍ସେପ୍ଟ କରିପାରୁନ ବିକଜ ତମେ ନିଜେ ଚାହୁଁଛ ଯେ ସେମିତି ରହିବା ପାଇଁ। ମେନ୍ ରିଜନ୍ ଇଜ୍ ୟୁ ୱାଣ୍ଟ ଟୁ ଷ୍ଟେ ଆଜ୍ ଇଟ୍ ଇଜ୍। ଯେମିତି ଚାଲିଛି ସେମିତି ଚାଲିଛି। ସେଇଟା ହେଉଛି ମୁଖ୍ୟ କାରଣ ହେଉଛି ରେଜିଷ୍ଟାନ୍ସର। ଜଣେ ଚେଞ୍ଜକୁ ଆକ୍ସେପ୍ଟ କରିପାରୁନି ବିକଜ he wants to stay in the same level what he wants. He is more comfortable how he is working. It could be individual, it could be organization. So you are in the same level. So the resistance broadly divided into two types: individual resistance, organizational resistance. Individual resistance is mostly related to the behavioral part, attitude part. Organizational resistance is based on the new structure, new strategy of the organization and the new plan, environmental change. There could be many changes. So this could be a reason for resistance of change. So a company doesn't want any change because any change due to acquisition or merger, because they don't want to operate in the two different country, two different city. So that is a resistance, that is organizational resistance. If the owner of the company doesn't want to expand, or because he doesn't want more work, more money, so that is a behavioral aspect, then is a attitude aspect. So that is individual resistance. Broadly, there are two resistance. So what are the causes of resistance? Mainly, there are five causes. Why people they don't trust any change because they are not getting full of confidence from the change management. So suppose you are changing and your team is not supporting you because your team doesn't trust you, doesn't believe, doesn't have any confidence in you that you can make a good change. That could be one reason of resistance. Emotional resistance. Emotionally, someone is thinking that I cannot do it. So that is emotional things. Fear of failure. ଆମର ସବୁବେଳେ ଡର ରହୁଛି ତମେ ଯଦି ଏଟା ନହେଲା କ'ଣ ହବ, ଯଦି ସକ୍ସେସ୍ ନହେଲା କ'ଣ ହବ, ଯଦି ଫେଲ୍ ହେଇଗଲି କ'ଣ ହବ, ସେଇ ଡରରେ ତମେ କିଛି ଚେଞ୍ଜ କରୁନ. That is fear of failure is one reason for resistance. Poor communication. For not communicating what changes are required, what type of changes, who will do what is the instruction. So there is no proper communication. So the team is not getting what changes are required. Unrealistic timelines. So whenever there is a big change, you have to justify how long it will take that change. Suppose you want to do some organizational structural change in your business. So that will take 15 days. If you want to do it on one day, so that is unrealistic. So whatever time is required, you have to give the required time. Maybe you don't have to waste any time, but you have to give the required time, realistic time, so that changes will be smooth. If you don't have time, that could be one resistance of changes. Suppose you don't have that 15 days time, so you cannot do any organizational changes because you don't have time. That could be one resistance for any change. So there are these changes, this resistance, this kind of resistance happening for any change. Primarily, lack of confidence, lack of trust. This is one change, one resistance, and fear of failure. So these things you can read, and this could be one lengthy question, long question from your exam. Then we read another thing, different theories of land change. So we are talking about change management. All the change are planned change. We are not talking about unplanned change. Unplanned change is something you never thought of, that suddenly things are coming on the way and you are doing all this. For example, recently COVID-19 things came into picture. गुड़ाए कंपनी गुड़ाए स्ट्रेटेजी चेंज है एम्प्लॉयमेंट चेंज है वर्किंग स्ट्रक्चर चेंज है प्रोडक्ट लाइन चेंज है because of COVID-19 it was unplanned thila. After many years, after maybe 100 years, these things come. So company mane prepare nathile to face that situation. That is unplanned. But what we are talking about, planned change. So there are different theories of planned change. We'll read that. Planned change is the process of repairing an entire organization or a significant part of it to achieve new goals or move in a new direction. This direction can refer to a company's culture, internal structure, processes, matrices, and reward, or any other aspect related to business. This is talking about change, plan change. There are three different types of theory we'll read. One is Leon's change model. This is the first one. This is known as also three-stage model. We'll learn what are the three stages. Then action research model. All these are related. Positive model. So the first one is kind of important, and most of the times that comes in the question. So you can remember these three: Levin change model, action research model, positive model. These three model are related to change management. Level change model is three-stage model. First, we'll understand what is this. One of the earliest model of plant change was provided by Scott Leon. Leon's model provides a general framework for the understanding organizational change. So, how the changes are happening, how you will take it forward. So, what are the different stages are involved? So, he has given the analysis on that. This is a very old model, but it is still relevant, and we are talking about in the current change. Kotlin suggests that efforts to bring about planned change is an organization should approach changes as a multi-stage process. The model of planned change is made of three steps. So I was telling that three-stage model. So what are the three stages in this model? Unfreeze, first stage, second stage is change and moving to adapt the change. Third and final step is refreeze. So there are three steps, easy to remember: unfreeze, change, and refreeze. First one is unfreeze, second one is change, third one is refreeze. What is the meaning of this? Unfreeze, freeze, what do you know? Everyone has freeze in the kitchen. Freeze, unfreeze, then refreeze. So it came from that: unfreeze, change, and refreeze. Suppose any change, or I will give an example. ତମର ଗୋଟେ ପୁରୁଣା ଘର ଅଛି, ପୁରୁଣା ଚାଳ ଘର କି ଟାଇଲ ଘର ଅଛି, ତମେ ତାକୁ ବିଲ୍ଡିଂ କରିବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁଛ, କୋଠା କରିବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁଛ. What you will do? You will talk to everyone in your family. So as a family, as your father, mother, brother, everyone will decide, okay, we will do that change. Then you will talk to required parties, where the funds will come, how much money will involve, and you will get the metal, iron, bricks, cement, all these things will run. Who will do the contractor? Who is the mistri? Mistri ଭାବେ find କରିବ. ତମେ ସବୁ decide କଲା ପରେ then ତମର actual work start ହବ. Work ହେଇଗଲା ପରେ ତମେ ତାକୁ conclude କରିବ. ତମେ ତାକୁ finishing କରିବ, color ଦବ, then you will have a puja or whatever. So all these steps are nothing but unfreeze, change and refresh. What is unfreeze? ଯେତେବେଳେ ତମେ ଡିସ୍କସନ୍ କରୁଛ ତମ ଫ୍ୟାମିଲିରେ ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ ନେଇକି, ୟୁ ଆର୍ ପ୍ଲାନିଂ କେତେ ପଇସା ଖର୍ଚ୍ଚ ହବ, କ'ଣ ହବ, କୋଠାଟେ କରିବା କି ନାହିଁ, କାହିଁକି କରିବା, କ'ଣ ଦରକାର କଲେ ଲାଭ କି ନାହିଁ, ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କର ଓପିନିଅନ୍ ନେଉଛ, ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କ କଥା ହଉଛ, ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ ତମେ ମନଉଛ, ସମସ୍ତେ ରାଜି ହେଉଛନ୍ତି, ଦେନ୍ ୟୁ ଆର୍ ଟେକିଂ ଏ ଡିସିସନ୍, ଓକେ ଆମେ କୋଠା କରିବା ଘରକୁ ଆଣିକି. ସେଇଟା ହେଲା ଅନଫ୍ରିଜ୍. ତମେ ଯେଉଁ ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ ନେଇକି କଥାବାର୍ତ୍ତା କରିକି ୟୁ ଆର୍ କନଭିନ୍ସିଂ ଏଭ୍ରିୱାନ୍. ତମ ବାପା ଯଦି ରାଜି ନେବେ ନା ଆମର କୋଠା କରିବା ଦରକାର ନା, ଆମର ଯେଉଁ ଚାଳ ଘର ଅଛି ସେଇ ଚାଳ ଘର, ଦେନ୍ ତମେ କରିପାରିବନି. ଦେନ୍ ୟୁ ହାଭ୍ ଟୁ talk to your parents, you have to convince them, and you have to make sure everyone is agreeing to that change. So that is unfreeze. Then ଆମର ଯେଉଁ ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲ କାମ ଆରମ୍ଭ ହେଉଛି, ଲୋକ ଆସିକି ଖୋଳାଖୋଳି କଲା, କାନ୍ଥ କଲା, ଛାତ ପଡ଼ିଲା, ପ୍ଲାଷ୍ଟର ହେଲା, ତାପରେ ରଙ୍ଗ ଦିଆହେଲା, ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଇଜ୍ ଚେଞ୍ଜ, ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଇଜ୍ ନେକ୍ସଟ ଷ୍ଟେଜ୍. In that you are moving. ତାପରେ ଫାଇନାଲି ତମର ଯେ ଘରେ ତମେ ରହିଲ, ପୂଜା କଲ, ଘର ପ୍ରତିଷ୍ଠା କଲ, ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଇଜ୍ ରିଫ୍ରିଜ୍. ଅନଫ୍ରିଜ୍, ଚେଞ୍ଜ ଆଣ୍ଡ ରିଫ୍ରିଜ୍. ଅନଫ୍ରିଜରେ କ'ଣ ହେଉଛି? ୟୁ ହାଭ୍ ଟୁ talk to everyone, you have to take opinion from everyone, you have to do the proper planning. ଚେଞ୍ଜରେ କ'ଣ ହେଉଛି? ତମେ ଯାହା ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲ କାମ କରୁଛ, ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲ ଇମ୍ପ୍ରୁଭମେଣ୍ଟ ହେଉଛି, you are doing the actual work in change. Then refresh, you are concluding everything. That is the final stage of this model. So this is that is the reason we are calling it three-stage model. What is unfreeze, what is change, what is refresh? It is given in one slide. In the next slide, I am sharing this. Let me read it. Unfreeze. As the name suggests, these steps involves reducing the factors which maintain the existing organizational behavior at the current level. It is named unfreeze because the existing states is unfrozen here. Unfreezing is sometimes accomplished by causes of psychological disconfirmation. ତ ମୁଁ ଯେଉଁଟା କହୁଥିଲି, ତମର କିଏ ରାଜି ନହେଲେ, କିଏ ହେଲେ, କ'ଣ ହେଲେ, ୟୁ ହାଭ୍ ଟୁ ଟେକ୍ ଦ opinion from everyone. So in unfreezing, you are making good communication, good contact with the people, and making sure everyone is agreeing to that change. That is unfreeze. Moving and freeze, that is what is the next stage? Moving and action. That is the actual work you are doing, actual change you are doing. This one is actually called as change or move. This is where you are actually making the change In this step, there is a displacement of existing organizational culture, innovation strategy. Individuals are deployment to a different level. It also involves interfering in the present system to develop new attitude and relevant organizational change. You are actually implementing the change in this stage. This is the second stage. The third stage is rephrasing. In this step, stabilization of the organization equilibrium occurs. That means you are stabilizing. I told you are concluding. जहाँ जहाँ चेंज ହେଇଥିଲା ତମେ ତାକୁ କ୍ଲୋଜ କରୁଛ. Logically, you are closing everything. You are staying in the house. You are doing some function, some puja or whatever you want. So that is rephrasing. In this step, stabilization of the organization equilibrium occurs. Supporting mechanism and procedures are used to achieve rephrasing, which forces the new organizational state. So there are three steps you understand: unfreeze, move, and rephrase. So all these three steps are in Levin's change model, three-stage model. First, you remember this three model. Then, what are the stages? Then we have two other model: action research model and positive model. Action research model is mostly on data. Collect a huge range of data from past records, then analyze the data, then you do the proper diagnosis, proper investigation. That is action research model. The actual work, action oriented. This is mostly action oriented. What is positive model? Positive model is to understand the organization current state, analyzing the organization, what it is doing currently. Let me read it. Action research model is traditionally aimed both at helping specific organization implementation, plan change, and at developing more general knowledge that can be applied to other settings. It places heavy emphasis on data gathering and diagnosis prior to action planning and the implementation as well as careful evaluation of a result after the action is taken. In action research model, you are collecting data, you are understanding the different data point, whatever you are collected and gathered, then you are taking action based on your analysis. That is action research model. Positive model is focus on what the organization is doing right. It helps members understand their organization when it working at its best and build up those capability of achieve even better result. You analyze your organization in a better way, then you understand what the organization is doing, good or bad. What are the best thing the organization is doing? Then you, from that analysis, you have to learn. So that is what it is known as positive model. You are identifying all the positive aspect of the organization. The positive model focus on what the organization is doing right. It helps members to understand their organization when it is working at its best and build up those capability to achieve even better result. Means whenever you are analyzing the positive aspect of the organization. The what the organization is doing good or bad. So from that you are identifying what changes are required, what what needs to be implemented in the organization, what initiative you have to take, what practice you have to bring. There are different action you can formulate, you can understand from the positive model. There are two important terms related to organizational development. One is organizational diagnosis and intervention. Organizational intervention. These are all related to change management. Diagnosis is what? Diagnosis is a technique to understand the organization in a better way. The organizational health. You know the word diagnosis. Diagnosis कौन डॉक्टर मैंने वैसे यूज करती तमें गोटे डॉक्टर पाखु गला तुम्हार देह खराब अच्छी then doctor what you will do, you will measure your temperature, you will see your hands, eyes, all these things. Then the doctor will diagnose something. ତମର କ'ଣ ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ ହଉଛି ତମେ ସବୁ ଶୁଣିବ ତମଠୁ, then he will diagnose something. ସେ ବୁଝିବ କିଛି ତମର କ'ଣ ଅସୁବିଧା ହେଇଛି. Based on that diagnosis, he will prescribe you some medicine. So organizational diagnosis is the same thing. This is the technique used to check an organizational current health. Organization କେମିତି କ'ଣ କରୁଛି, କେତେ ଲାଭ କରୁଛି, କାହିଁକି କେତେ କ୍ଷତି କରୁଛି, କାହିଁକି କ୍ଷତି କରୁଛି, କ'ଣ ଲସ୍ ହେଉଛି. ଯଦି ଲୋକମାନେ ବାରମ୍ବାର ଏମ୍ପ୍ଲୟି ମାନେ ଚେଞ୍ଜ କରୁଛନ୍ତି, why the members are changing, why the share price is not going up. So all these things diagnosis କେମିତି ହେବ, you have to analyze, you have to check everything, all aspects of the organization to complete this diagnosis. And the next step is not only you have to make the diagnosis, you have to suggest the corrective action, what the company has to do. Suppose the organization is always for last 5 years they are making losses. So why the loss is happening? Where the money is going? So what you have to make to bring it to profit? So those kind of suggestion, those kind of advice is part of that analysis, that diagnosis. So when you are analyzing, when you are diagnosing, so you are also understanding the company's behavior, what company is doing wrong, and you are suggesting as part of your diagnosis. So whenever you are diagnosis, you are looking all aspects to check the current health of the company. Similar concept is organizational intervention. Organizational development intervention are program and processes designed to improve the organizational functioning. This intervention aims to create activities that changes leadership style, organizational structure, behavioral pattern. So intervention is another analysis in similar way, and you have to check the data, check different input, check different data point to understand the organizational development. Why the organization is not growing or growing, what are the different aspects of the organization. You have to understand only if you analyze and see the data, then you suggest. whether the organization is going positively or negatively. So based on your suggestion, things will change. So these two terms are very much related to the change management, organizational development, diagnosis, and intervention. What are the different types of intervention? The very first type is human resource management intervention. Then another type is strategic change intervention. Another type is human process intervention. Another type is techno-structural intervention. Human resource management intervention, HR management. So when the organization HR is not happy, not engaged, HR means employees. So there is a lot of work for the HR people. So how to motivate, how to engage the team member. Based on that, so you may have to take some action, take some changes. So that kind of intervention is human resource team is intervening in your organizational employees to understand their overall engagement, overall qualification, overall skill. Suppose they want to make some training. So how do they identify what training is required? They have to understand the team members. They have to understand the product. They have to understand the skills. What is the gap? What they want to understand? What they want to learn. Based on that, the training will be planned. So that is human resource management intervention. Strategic intervention, any organization making a plan or strategy, or a company wants to expand its business in a different city. They are going to open a branch. They are going to uh, produce something new. They have suppose one type of product, they are producing another type of product. They are including different product line. So these are strategic changes intervention. Human process intervention. Human process is very much related to psychological aspect, behavioral aspect of human nature, one process. S- Suppose there is a big process change. Something is done by human being, but it will be done through technology or or a new message you are adding. You are making a big process change in the so some people will not adapt, some people not accept. So someone has to intervene and make the organization run in a smooth way. Tell the people that these are the things we have to accept change. So that process you have to adapt by talking to the people. Techno-structural intervention. Suppose you have to adapt a new technology in your structure. Your sales, suppose, for example, in most of the business, you have seen computer was not there earlier. For example, take banks. Before 20, 30 years, you will not find any computer in a bank. Now, everything is happening in computer. Even post office people, everyone is keeping computer. They are doing computer. Earlier, take the railway reservation system. Now, railway reservation system is so easy, smooth. Maybe 30 years before. So everyone was going to railway station, referring the register and booking the ticket. So that was the system. So If that railway employee will not adopt that change, what will happen? So there is a technological change in that structure in the overall business. So that is techno-structural intervention. These are the different types of intervention: human resource intervention, strategic intervention, human process intervention, techno-structural intervention. This intervention is very much related to the change management and diagnosis. These two concepts are very much related to the organizational development, and within organizational development, we are talking on change management. This is your last unit. This will include all the syllabus courses. We'll have another couple of class to understand, to revise more what we studied so far. So your next class will be tomorrow is Friday. Okay, next week. That means Saturday we'll have another class which will revise some of the concept to understand that, and in another one or two class, maximum two class will complete this. Actually, this is completed. Next two class will take the doubt clearance and revise all these things, whatever we studied so far. Thank you. Today we'll end the class here. Thank you.